Today we're doing the heroes range, as you can see on the screen right there. So I was doing quite a few, what do you call it,
the heroes
small
range
blind hands. And, well, as you can see right here, 3 different small blind hands. And then for the 3-betting range, or I'm sorry, for 3-bet hands, hand reading myself, covered those 3. There's not a lot of action there. Not a ton of action up here on the button. Cutoff, not so much action. But I don't want to hand read the hero on a folding the river hand. We hand read that one already. EP did that. Now the big blind, we've done 7 or 8 hand readings out of the big blind so far. For 3-betting ranges, we've only done 1, it looks like. Check call here on the river. Bet, and then a bet with a check on the turn. Let's do this one. We'll give it a shot. Oh, wow, we're heads up in a 3-bet pot. Sweet. So let's whip out our tools, Split Suits hand reading templates right there, which you can get yourself at splitsuit.com/templates for a donate your own price kind of price. And then, of course, Flopzilla, the usual, what we always do here. So let's see here. In BB, 3-bet, hand, we know that, but let's bring up that hand history again. Okay, so heads up pot. So what happens? We get a min raise and then practically a min 3-bet. Interesting. And then, so, interesting. So maybe we had just started this table, started a brand new session. This AllinPlayingNaked just decided to join us, who we don't know anything about min opening and then calling the 3-bet. So it is such a small bet. Well, first let's do a little work here, right here. Min 3-bet and SB just calls. Okay, like I said, we're doing the heroes range today, as you can see. 876-46965. Didn't look at the date. Record that later on after the stream. So let's see. Oh, yes. So we're on the heroes range right here. So what am I making a very small 3-bet out of position? Remember, it's a heads up pot. I'm in the big blind versus the small blind, but I'm not in position with this big blind hand here. So let's see here. What are my 3-bet ranges for making a tiny little bet right here? Oftentimes, I'm calling versus that raise with deuces through 7s. Often calling 8s. 9s or 10s are my cutoff for 3-bets. I could be testing this player out, making a smallish 3-bet against them with 9s or better. Although I do prefer often calling with the 9s, but it's very possible. No, against an unknown, I'm going to say that 9s are not in my 3-betting. 10s or better are my 3-betting value, 3-betting range here. Now, I could be making the 3-bet as a semi-bluff with those hands, and I'm often 3-bet semi-bluffing the 9-8 and the 10-9. These are often in my calling range right there. All of these, the stronger Broadway aces, I could be 3-betting here. Often going to call with the king-jack. King-queen offsuit. It's a brand new, I don't know anything about the player. Most likely I'm just calling here. I think even now that I come to think of it, even ace-10 is often just a call. Ace-jack, I can come in for a 3-bet. 9s or deuces are just calls. King-10, king-jack, I think are just calls. King-queen suited, I can 3-bet as a semi-bluff. And, if he's opening with a king and wants to continue with king-jack, all those suited kings, we beat them currently. So I think this is probably my 3-betting range. You can see plenty of value here, some semi-bluff stuff, and then some decent aces, which he can, because I 3-bet so small, he can be continuing with a pretty wide ace range, especially being in position here. So 8.3% and 110 combos. Now, he did make a tiny open, and he didn't come over with a 4-bet, so I'm not going to put him right now on a super strong hand. We're not hand reading him, but we have to assign some kind of a hand to him, right? So what kind of hand is making a small min open and then just calling? I would think it could be a suited ace. We'll say ace-8 suited. Sounds good to me. I mean, and if you think about it, it could be a pocket pair. It could be a suited connector. It could even be like an offsuit connector, or even an offsuit gapper might make this call. I mean, who knows? We don't know much about him. I'm just going to give him a suited ace for now. Actually, by doing that, I blocked a ton of my range. So our pre-flop range went down from 89 combo, or went down from 110 to 89 combos with that ace blocker right there. But, you know, we're still going to leave it because my whole 3-betting range is 110 combos. But actually, in the moment, if this was his hand, he is blocking 21 combos. That's pretty interesting right there. So it's interesting to see how well an ace blocker, if you're 3-bet bluffing, having an ace blocker takes out a ton of aces from your opponent's range for an opening range. That's why ace blockers are great for 3-bet semi-bluffing right there. So let's see what happens. He does make the call. Ace, jack, so ace 4 with clubs and the jack of diamonds. So on this board, we have a ton of aces in our range. He definitely has an ace, right, with kind of a weaker kicker right here. But we have a ton of aces in our range. So currently, our range has 49% equity. Because we do have under pairs that currently didn't hit anything. We do have a set of jacks and a set of aces in our range. So this kind of board, because we were the 3-better pre-flop, this kind of board really does hit us quite a bit better than it does him. Because like I said, he's calling with a ton of those smallish pairs. One of those only has a set right here. He's calling all those suited connectors, suited gappers, offsuit connectors, things that really didn't hit much. Now, a lot of his Broadway range, of course, the random aces, kings, queens, and jacks, they all hit something on this board, whether it's a pair or a gut shot or a pair plus a draw kind of a thing. And then, of course, with the 2 clubs, he has plenty of suited cards in his range as well. So let's see what the action is. We throw out the half pot cbet. I like it. And he just calls here. Okay, before we see that card. What is throwing out, for my range, what is throwing out the half pot cbet? Sets, totally doing it with the sets, trying to build some value. Because as you can see, we both started off with full stacks pre-flop right here. So if I want to get money in, if I have a set of aces or a set of jacks, I've got to be betting to get things started. Plus, I'm out of position. He could easily check behind to see a free turn card with any gut shot, any kind of weak draw, and then hit it for free right here. I'm basically getting some value out of all of his draws. I'm out of position. He's calling in position, maybe because he just feels like, hey, I'm controlling the pot. I know exactly what I'm committing right now. So I've got to make this bet out of position with my sets, with my 2-pair hands, with all my top pairs as well. I've got to make that initial bet right there. He doesn't necessarily have to have an ace here. He could be on any kind of, like I said, gut shot flush draws that I'm just charging him with my random, even weak aces down here. Pocket pair below top pair. I definitely like the bet, just repping that ace. I 3-bet pre-flop. He doesn't have to have an ace. And then with a semi-wet board, I could be getting him to fold. Maybe not all the time, but I'm also setting up a double barrel here. If I bet the flop and then he calls, I can bet the turn quite often to get him off of a lot of draws that whiffed on the turn. Middle pairs here. Oh, don't have any. Weak pairs, the 10s. I can see that as a bet for sure. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it, but yeah, I could be betting with the 10s right there just to try to throw him off of his kind of a gut shot and flush draw stuff. No made hand, nah, let's not say those are betting because we're already at 90% of the time betting. It is a 3-bet pot, so it's worth fighting over. You shouldn't be c-betting 100% of the time, but probably pretty darn close to it, especially when it's just a heads-up pot with a player who's unknown. He doesn't know what I'm capable of, so I think I should be throwing the c-bet out most of the time here. The gut shots, yep, let's throw it out with the king-queen. Wow, look at that, 92% of the time we are firing 2-card backdoor. King-queen, well, that's included in the gut shot. And then the 10-9 of diamonds? Nah, we don't need to include that. Yeah. So look at that. We are 92% of our pre-flop range is still in the hand, which is 60 combos. Still in it right now. And as we saw, he called, and then the deuce of spades, which really does not help anybody in any way. I guess it's possible he called pre-flop with the deuces, doesn't believe we hit an ace, and decides to stay in, then hit it on the turn. But more than likely, that doesn't help anybody. He does have plenty. I mean, we have him calling ace-8. Guarantee he's calling ace, every single suited ace, if he's not 4-betting the ace-king and ace-queen. But all these other ones he's calling. That does give him a possible potential 2-pair here. But as you can see, it does not help our range at all. We are at oh, it did help our range. Went from 50 to, oh, it helped our range a tiny bit because it didn't help him in any way. Makes sense right there. So we're up to 54% equity. And I just check. I'm out of position right here, and I'm just checking. So I guarantee I do not have the straight. I don't even have two pair. Look at those two pairs. I would love to bet here with any two pair, especially if he does have a random ace. I'm currently crushing him. Top pairs? The fact that he called me on the flop means he does have a ton of draws. The deuce did not complete any draws unless he had a really random 3-5 that I would never put him on here for calling a 3-bet. I think I should bet the top pair as a second barrel value bet. I should. So because I didn't bet, let's take all the top pairs out of my range. Pocket pair below his top, yep, let's put those in because he could easily call with a weak ace right here, and we have kings or queens. I just want to see a cheap showdown now, unless we hit a king or a queen. Weak pairs could be checking here. No made hands, totally checking. Flush draws checking, no flush draws checking, and the gut shots, yeah. So as you can see, I'm actually checking with a very wide range. Oh, wait a second. I don't want to collect no flush draw. That's right. Okay, good, because that would put in all of these pairs, because two pair, yeah, that doesn't have a flush draw right now. So I don't want to click that. So we're down to 28 combos and 48%. We'll take a look at the R equities real quick. Just want to get this down. 28, 48%. Whoops. Transposed them. Okay, cool. So if this is our range, we remove the toppest parts of our range right here, which is a bummer. We removed 35 cards total from the top part of our range, which basically means when we're out of position without the top part of our range, we want to see showdown really darn cheap, or we just want to hit our flush on the river. That's what's going on. We went from 54% equity to a crappy 10% equity. Of course, because we have him set on a pair of aces. He could have like we could have a random king right now, king X of clubs, and we have a flush draw, or even just any random king. Maybe he has queen 10 and we're currently ahead with our king high hand. So if he has an ace, we're far behind right now. But if he doesn't, then we at least have a fighting chance of getting to showdown and beating him with a king high. Or even if we pair on the river, we might be able to win. 9 of clubs comes. That's probably a good card for me. So as you can see on that 9 of clubs, whoops, before that came flush draw. We only had 3 combos of flush draws: king, queen, 10, 9, 9, 8. Oh, how interesting. When the 9 of clubs comes, it actually only puts in 1 combo of a flush, king, queen, because that 9 blocked 10, 9, and 9, 8 for us right there. So let's see what the action is. I decided to bet half pot again. It really does look like I'm going for value right here. I mean, it could be a delayed double barrel bluff, but he's calling. I'm not getting any ace to fold, which I think is probably a pretty hefty part of his range for checking behind. A lot of weak aces, maybe some weak jacks in there as well. Just doesn't want to give up and checked behind on the turn. Makes sense. So what am I just half pot betting here? Doing it with the flush, just trying to get some value out of the guy, not scaring him out, trying to get as much as I can. Because I played it so passively, and then all of a sudden the flush comes in and I bet, he could be really suspicious that we have the flush. So half pot bet makes sense for value here. Top pairs. Oh, those weak aces. Well, yeah, it's possible that those are in. Those are in my tiny half pot value betting. Now, I don't think I'm going to be betting with these. I think I'm going to be checking here and then probably check folding on the 3 flush river. So let's not say those are betting. Weak pairs, no. I think I'm just going for a very thin value bet with only 5 cards. Like, really, that's it. 5 different combos of hands. Weak top pairs and the king queen. I think that's it. Wow. How tiny is that? Number of combos was 5. What was that percentage? 20%, 19% of the turn range right there betting. So let's see what we got. Oh, pocket kings. Okay. So just basically making a blocking bet with that $4 pot. Maybe I made a blocking bet right here in order to not face like a $3 bet by a pair of aces. That's possibly what happened. And you can see I just now removed that pocket pair below. I removed that. Whoops, take that off. I removed those kings from my range just now on the river. But now that I think about it, I do have the nut flush blocker, so it does make sense that I'm throwing out the bet because he could just call the $2 with a queen high or jack high flush that just hit. So I could be saving myself some money, still seeing showdown, and then possibly getting him to fold. I guess possibly getting him to fold a weak ace that just hit a top pair here. Jack and a 10. Wow, got lucky with that one. Ended up winning this pot. Jack 10 offsuit makes sense. I mean, I said earlier pre-flop, I think I clicked on these like a 10-9, but yeah, a Jack 10 for opening and then calling the tiny 3-bet. If I would have 3-bet bigger, he probably would have folded that Jack 10 offsuit. So in a way, I was able to get value by playing, by 3-betting a little on the smaller side pre-flop. So that worked out really well. But it does make sense now that I see this. I can have pocket kings with that club kicker, not kicker, but I mean, you know, with my kings being the club, because it can be a bluff bet that maybe could get like a weak 7-6 of clubs to fold. No, I doubt it. The pot is so small, he's calling no matter what. Yeah, so I think it was just a blocking bet to get the 7-6 of clubs to not bet $3 or not even bet full pot, so I can still see what he had at showdown, and hopefully my under pair would be good. Because as you can see, he even called with a jack. So if he called with a jack here, it's possible that he could have called on the river with a 9 as well. He's calling with weaker aces, which do beat us, but at least we're saving $1 if he chooses to bet $3 on the river after we show 2 streets of weakness. So I'm down with that bet right there. And I do like the pre-flop smallish 3-bet. Because if I would have made it bigger, if I would have made it a standard $1.50 or even $2.25, 9 big blinds, he could have easily gotten away from this hand and we would have just won 50 cents. But as it played out, we ended up winning $3.75. So not a bad hand at all. We were unsuccessful in the reading of ourselves, but now that we see it, it does make sense why I would make that bet on the river right there as a blocking bet so that I don't have to pay as much to see showdown. Alrighty, y'all, thank you very much for watching. I do appreciate it. I will be back tomorrow with day 30 of 66. We're almost halfway there. Take care.